If you stopped working tomorrow, how long could you maintain the same standard of living? 1 week? A month? Maybe a year? Now think of someone else. She wakes up at the same time as you. Have breakfast. Take the children to school. Travel whenever you want. Spend time with your family. And while he's doing all this, the money keeps coming into the account, no clocking in, without trading hours for pay, without depending on a boss. The difference between these two people is not in their intelligence. It's not a matter of luck. And often it's not even about how much they earn. The real difference lies in how they built their sources of income. Throughout our lives, we've been taught to study, get a good job, and work hard to increase our salary. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is believing that a salary, however high, represents financial freedom. In reality, a salary is just an exchange. You give your time and receives money in return. When this exchange happens every day for years, it seems normal. But there's one question that few people ask. What happens when you can no longer exchange time for money? It is precisely at this moment that we realize the difference between active income and passive income. While active income depends on your presence, passive income depends on the assets you have built up over the course of your life. It's what keeps producing while you rest, while traveling, while spending time with the one you love, while simply living. And perhaps that's the biggest mistake most people make. Spending decades trying to increase your salary, without realizing that the true goal was never to earn more money. The real goal has always been to build a system capable of generating money without requiring your constant presence. Because wealth doesn't just mean owning millions. Wealth means acquiring options. The option to say no to a job you don't like. The option to spend more time with your family. The option to travel without worrying about the next payment. The option to live according to your choices and not according to your finances. In this video, we'll go through all the levels of passive income. From the moment a person becomes 100% dependent on their own work, to the point where a well-built portfolio is capable of generating more than $100,000 per month. And as we progress through each level, you'll realize that the biggest transformation doesn't happen in your bank account. It happens in your mindset. Because each new level of passive income buys something far more valuable than money. Buy time, buy peace of mind, buy freedom. And above all, it gives you back control over your own life. The question is, what level are you at today? And more importantly, what level are you building for your future? If you want to be one of the people who build wealth intelligently, leave a like now. Each video on this channel was created to help you understand how money really works and how to transform knowledge into financial freedom. And subscribe to the channel to follow this journey. Because here, our goal isn't just to teach you how to make more money. It's about showing how to build assets, develop a long-term mindset, and create a life where money works for you, not the other way around. Your financial transformation begins with a decision, and that decision can begin today. There comes a time in almost everyone's life when they ask themselves the same question: will I have to work like this for the rest of my life? At first, the answer seems simple. You study, get a job, work hard, and receive a salary. Then you believe that if you keep doing this long enough, one day you will achieve financial freedom. But there's a detail that almost no one notices. Time is a finite resource. We all receive exactly the same 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter if you earn $1,000 a month or $100,000 a month. Your time remains the same limit. And that's precisely why relying exclusively on active income can become an invisible trap. In the active income market, there's a very clear rule. If you work, you get paid. If you stop working, the money stops too. This system works for years, sometimes for decades. And because it's so common, many people never stop to question it. But it only takes one unexpected event to realize how fragile he is. An illness, an economic crisis, an unexpected dismissal, or simply the natural wear and tear of working nonstop. It is at this moment that you realize that selling time has never been the same as building freedom. And then an idea emerges that can completely change the way you see money. The idea that perhaps there is another way. a way to keep the money coming in, even when you're not working at that exact moment. Perhaps through investments, perhaps through real estate, perhaps through companies, royalties, or digital businesses. It doesn't matter what the asset is. The important thing is to understand the principle. Assets are different from salary. A salary depends on your presence. An asset continues to generate value even when you are resting. This difference seems small, but it completely changes the way you make decisions. And then something happens that, for many people, seems insignificant. You receive your first dollar of passive income. Financially, this amount makes almost no difference. He doesn't pay his bills. It doesn't change your standard of living. It doesn't allow you to quit your job. But psychologically, he's worth far more than money itself. Because that first dollar proves something that was previously just a theory. He shows that there is a different way to build wealth. For the first time, you understand that you don't have to rely solely on selling your time. You can build assets that can work in your favor. And once that idea gets into your mind, it's hard to get it out. You start to look at money in a different way. Instead of simply asking how much you can earn next month, start asking, what can I build today that will continue to generate income in 5, 10, or 20 years? This change in questioning marks the true beginning of financial freedom. Because every great fortune began exactly like this. Not with millions of dollars, but with a new way of thinking. And once your mindset changes, your decisions begin to follow the same path. Hook for comments. Now I want to hear from you. If you received your first $100 in passive income today, what would be the first asset you would start building to multiply that money? Write your answer in the comments. I want to find out how you envision the path to financial freedom. There comes a point when passive income stops being just an interesting idea and starts having a real impact on your life. It's still not enough to make you financially independent, but that's already enough to change the way you see money. Imagine receiving $1,000 every month without having to exchange hours of work for that amount. Perhaps that amount will cover the rent. Maybe it will cover the car payment. Perhaps that will be enough to cover all food expenses. Regardless of where this money will be used, something important happens. For the first time, some of your expenses will no longer depend solely on your salary. It may seem like a small change, but in practice, it completely transforms your relationship with work. Previously, every expense represented an obligation. Each bill meant more hours of work. Each financial commitment increased the pressure to continue producing. Now, some of that responsibility has been transferred to the assets you've built. It's as if they started working alongside you. While you are practicing your profession, your investments continue to generate income. While you sleep, the flow of money continues. While you enjoy a weekend with your family, your assets continue doing what they were created for, generating money. This feeling changes something that doesn't show up on your bank statement. It reduces anxiety. Much of financial stress does not stem from a lack of money. It stems from the feeling that any unforeseen event could compromise all of your stability. When passive income starts to cover some of the expenses, this insecurity decreases. You realize that you no longer depend exclusively on a single income stream. And this silent security affects all areas of your life. You start making decisions more calmly. He no longer accepts just any opportunity out of desperation. Start analyzing proposals more rationally. Negotiate better. Reject toxic environments. Plan for the future without the constant feeling of urgency. Little by little, money stops controlling your choices, and you begin to recover something you may not even have realized you had lost: the power to decide. It is at this stage that many people discover an important truth. Financial freedom doesn't happen all at once. It is built in small layers. Each new source of passive income represents a little more peace of mind, a little more autonomy, just a little more time. And it is precisely time that begins to take on a new meaning. Before, you sold your time to make money. Now use the money to buy time. Time to learn. Time to take care of your health. Time to be present with those you love. Time to develop new projects. Time to think about the long term. This reversal completely changes the logic of financial life. The work continues to exist, but it ceases to be an absolute obligation. For the first time, working is becoming an increasingly conscious choice. And when that happens, a new question begins to arise. If a few $1,000s a month can already reduce financial pressure so much, what happens when your passive income grows to the point where it completely sustains your lifestyle? There comes a point when passive income stops supplementing your life and starts supporting it completely. At this stage, the money is no longer just enough to cover some expenses. It's sufficient to maintain your lifestyle without you depending on your next paycheck. And this is a transformation that goes far beyond finances. For much of their lives, most people are busy trying to survive. They wake up thinking about the bills they need to pay, the month's commitments, and the next paycheck that hasn't even arrived yet. When your assets take on this responsibility, something changes within you. Your mind stops living in a constant state of scarcity. You begin to think about the future more clearly. Decisions are no longer based on fear, but are instead guided by strategy. This is precisely where capital reveals its true power. While many people still work just to maintain what they already have, their assets continue to grow quietly. Dividends are reinvested. Properties continue to generate rental income. Companies are expanding their results. New investments arise from the income generated by old ones. Money starts to produce more money. And what's most interesting is that this growth tends to accelerate over time. Each asset strengthens the next. Each investment increases your ability to invest again. It's like planting a tree that, in addition to producing fruit every year, also generates new seeds capable of creating an entire forest. But perhaps the biggest change isn't in the assets. It's in the way you come to see your own life. You realize that wealth has never been just about buying better cars, bigger houses, or more expensive objects. These achievements may even happen, but they cease to be the main objective. The true value of wealth lies in the freedom it provides. Freedom to choose where to live, freedom to decide who to work with, freedom to say no when something doesn't make sense to you, freedom to dedicate time to the people who truly matter, and above all, the freedom to build something that will outlive you. At this point in the journey, the focus shifts away from survival. Then it's no longer just about making money. Now the goal becomes building wealth, create opportunities, protect your family, and to leave a legacy capable of benefiting other people for many years to come. Because in the end, money is just a tool. True wealth is what it allows one to build. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of this entire journey. Financial freedom doesn't happen when you earn more. It happens when your capital works so hard that it gives back something that no amount of money in the world can buy back: your time. And when you regain control over your own time, you realize that true wealth has never been in the amount of money accumulated. It has always been about the amount of life you can live. If this video made you reflect on how you're building your financial life, please give it a like. This simple gesture helps the channel reach more people who also want to achieve financial freedom and build long-term wealth. And if you want to learn how to develop assets, create passive income streams, and build a life where money works for you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week we bring you content to help you think like investors, entrepreneurs, and people who build wealth intelligently. Remember, your financial transformation doesn't begin when you earn more money. It begins the day you decide to build assets that will continue working for you today, tomorrow, and for decades to come.